We are back for another repair. Today we're looking at a customer's Nintendo Switch Lite. And this one is the Animal Crossing edition, pretty cool. And I've got it plugged in, we're getting 15 volts, so it is charging. But the customer's complaint is the exact note on, let me find the repair form here, says connection to screen is not working. So I'm assuming the screen isn't working. So if we click some buttons here, I don't get anything on the screen. This actually did flash, so it is booting up, but there's just nothing happening. So most people would just go, well, we just need to replace the screen. Let's get right to it. But that's not always the case. Oh, did you hear that? You hear that? There's, things are happening on the screen. Could it be the backlight chip is dead? Let's get it repaired. And if you're interested in the disassembly process of a Nintendo Switch Lite, I have quite a few videos on doing that safely and a couple tips along the way as well. Right now though, I'm just going to get the board straight out and we're going to get right to work. And I can pretty much tell you exactly what happened to this console. If I called this customer right now and said, hey, when you took it apart and you put the new thermal paste on and you put it back together, that's when it stopped working, they would say yes. And the reason it stopped working is either one of two things. They disconnected these in the wrong order, or they didn't disconnect them at all and continued working on this and maybe touched something or shorted something out. So when you take these apart and you want to work on them, disconnect the battery first from underneath and then disconnect this cable. Your backlight chip is right here and it's very sensitive. So I guarantee they just didn't unplug this at all and continued working on the system, or they just unplugged them in the wrong order, which also can short that out. So let's get around to getting the board out. The board is now out, so where we want to look is right behind the connector here. And our backlight IC chip is this guy right there. So what I'm going to do, you'll see I have it kind of hanging off of this holder here because I get this off the desk, kind of like this. And I'll just hang it over like that because we don't want to add heat right here because we'll melt this connector. I mean, you can block it off if you want to. But I'm just going to go from below like this and we'll pull that IC off. Okay, and this is where the chip was sitting right here. So we're going to get this solder removed. And my dumbass, I didn't hit record, but you can check these. I actually did beforehand, and now we're going to do it after. But you can test right here for a short, and there was one before, and now the chip's gone. It is alleviated. So just more, evidence to kind of back the claim that the IC chip is the problem. Okay, and what I did real quick is I actually cut, so here's the solder wick, I cut down the center of it to make it thinner because this spot is so tiny. And you can see now that the tip of the solder wick fits a little bit better in here. And we can just gently, you don't even need to push very hard, just kind of get in here and just back and forth, and it'll end up cleaning off those pads. See how good they look? Awesome. All right, so majority is all cleaned up. I'll end up evaporating all the rest of this isopropyl laying around. But they do have an orientation on the chip, so you'll see this arrow right here. See this little arrow pointing to this solder ball right here. On the chip will be a dot, and you want to line that dot up with this side. So when it's turned, this is the orientation when it's normally, or where it's normally sitting like this. You'll want the chip with the dot facing bottom left, so right here. I'm just going to get a very, very minute amount of flux on here, just about like that. That way when the chip, when I put it down, it doesn't fly all over the place. So it acts as a way for the chip to not only sit in place, but also for it to adhere together to the board easier. So let me get the chip put down here. And there's the chip, and it's kind of difficult for you guys to see, but the dot is down in the left corner. So just like I was saying, we're going to line that up. Okay, and we want to try to assist it as best we can, or at least as close as we can get it, because it'll go together just fine, but we want it to be close. So right about there, that's pretty good. Yeah, right there, and now let's get around to heating it up. Okay, and I've zoomed in here. I'm going to clean up all that flux, of course, but it has settled perfectly. You can see those traces are leading from those solder balls perfectly, so it is aligned just how we want it. Let's get it cleaned up. Okay, so we're getting it nice and cleaned up here. Give me just a second. It's going to be A little bit of cleaning. This area is very, very tiny, so it tends to have flux run into places that's kind of hard to get to. But real fast, I'm going to test for the short on that cap since we have the time here. So let's get that done. Here we go. Perfect. Testing good. Awesome. I just noticed I have the leaning tower of boxes behind me. No big deal. What do you do about it? But we're going to put this board in. It's cooled down, and let's get it tested. And it's important to remember we're going to work backwards when putting this back together. So we're going to reconnect the ribbon first and then reconnect the battery. And it's the opposite when we're taking it apart. Disconnect the battery first and then disconnect this. And I know it seems weird, and it makes sense why customers screw it up. Like they just don't see this here, so they assume I'm going to disconnect this first and then the battery, and then poof, whatever standby power, whatever's going on over here causes it to blow out that IC chip. And the board is right back out of the shell because it didn't work. And the reason it didn't work only took me about 2 extra seconds to figure out why. And that's because under my own watch, the connector broke right here. So we're gonna have to get that repaired now. And if you take a look under the microscope, we can see very clearly this pin right here is missing, or it's probably pushed all the way back into the connector. This is not making a good connection, which means we aren't getting anything on screen. When something like this happens on my bench, obviously we're not going to charge a customer a dime for the extra work it takes to do it. So let's get a new connector in and get it tested. Okay, the old connector is off. I'm going to get all these pads tinned up, and then we'll get that new connector on. Okay, and there's the new connector, and everything looks solid and perfect. So let's get it together. All right, it's partially reassembled. I've gone through and cleaned everything, so it's all nice for when the customer gets it back. We've got 15 volts on the reader. Do we get the battery symbol? Yes. Yes, the screen's working. Come on. Oh, that is awesome, and it looks great. And make sure the digitizer and everything still functions. Perfect. Well, this is a complete success. I appreciate you guys watching. If you have any questions or anything, just leave it in the comments. Until the next video, thanks guys.